So I'm just going to ask a question to Miss Natasha Scott. And as we well know, the future of our students, especially our high school students, is absolutely critical, not only to young people as individuals, but to our long-term health as a community. Although it is a familiar phrase, it still stands that the young people are truly our future, right? Miss Natasha Scott, you are the author of The College Admissions Bible, Everything You Need to Know About Applying to College. And getting into college can be challenging, especially for minority students. Ms. Scott, I'd like to ask you what drove you to write this book, and what issues do you think it speaks to regarding young members of our community and what they face when they're approaching their college years?
Hello, everybody. So I'm first generation American. Both of my parents were born in Jamaica. Came to this country very young in pursuit of better educational opportunities. So my parents did a lot of struggling in terms of trying to find the right avenues for them to go to school. My dad, he was just telling me the story the other day. I've heard the story many times, but he always, tries to relate back to me how when he first came here, he was 12 or 13, and he went to just the regular public school in Harlem where they were living, PS whatever. And just by chance, he had a teacher that realized that here's a young black student who seems to be doing very well in math and sciences. Let me tell him about this specialized high school test that's coming up. You said, being fresh from Jamaica, he knew nothing about specialized anything. My grandma and grandpa, they don't have time to kind of make sure he's going for these tests and whatever. So he just so happened to have a teacher that looked out for him. And that same weekend, he went and sat for the specialized high school test and ended up getting into Bronx High School of Science, which is one of the best specialized high schools in New York. And then that led to him going to college, to Cornell University, and then realizing that he wanted to pursue medicine. And now, many, many years later, now he's an ophthalmologist. But just through somebody kind of recognizing his talent and kind of pushing him through education, that's what got him to where he is today. So my mom as well, very kind of similar story of having someone kind of mentor her and reach out to her. So me growing up, education has always been a key thing for my parents, for us. They both are college educated, even though they were first in this country very young and just kind of figured out the ropes themselves. So for myself, my brother, and my sister, it was just a given that we're going to college. So I'll be lucky to say that growing up, I didn't have to struggle at all like how my parents did in trying to figure things out. And then being the youngest of 3 siblings, I watched my brother and my sister before me kind of figure out the ropes of college and all that. For high school, I was very lucky. I went to a very small private all-girls school. And at our school, we had a college advising office. So essentially, we have 2 women who are hired to handhold us through the college process. And I knew while I was there that experience is very special because a lot of my friends who went to public school or pretty much any other school, they didn't have that. They didn't have these college counselors who were walking them through. They were figuring out the ropes themselves. So I was very lucky to have that support of my parents, have my, being the youngest, having to watch my brother and sister go through it, and then having these 2 counselors who were just like making sure that, all us girls are going to a good school. So after college, I ended up working at a nonprofit that my mom runs in East Orange, New Jersey, Dorson Community Foundation, and we do programs for inner city youth, enrichment programs. Our biggest program is our SAT prep program. So in working with that program, I noticed a very frightening trend, at least to me, that the vast majority of our students that were coming in were seniors. Seniors in high school, they show up, they know they have to take the SAT, so they found out about this class, they're gonna take some prep classes. But other than that, they had no idea the process of college. They know SAT, college, but besides that, like essays and recommendations and deadlines, FAFSA, all these other things related to college admissions, they knew nothing about it. And it kind of scared me because I was like, going to the school I went to, they had us prepped from like sophomore year. Like we were ready to go. I knew I could get into any school I wanted to, like just because they had that grain in my mind. But these kids were coming in just like completely clueless, and a lot of them were very bright. When I would look at their transcript, I'm like, you couldn't go anywhere, but they missed deadlines, or they didn't write the essay properly, or they just didn't have a clue. And so I started to write it was essentially going to be a pamphlet of like little tips and tricks. Here's some deadlines you need to know. Here's some cool websites. And I was just going to write it up like a little brochure and give it to our participants. But being me, the more I kept writing and became just obsessed with all of this. Before you know it, I had a 50-page document and this like book essentially. So me and my mom were printing out in her like office, printing out these papers and like stapling it and putting little binders and kind of having this makeshift book and handing it out to the students. And then my mom, being like the momager that she is like, we have to make this something. We have to get this book out there. There's a lot of kids out there besides just our little students here that really can use the help in getting some information about college. So we went through the whole self-publishing process and ended up publishing the book, and was able to, through our connections, through our nonprofit work and working with some of the inner city districts that we work with our programs, got the book into Patterson Public School System, East Orange Public Schools, Orange Public Schools, and just trying to get the book out there. So that really was my motivation, being someone who didn't have to struggle, like heard the stories of my parents having to figure it out, working at the nonprofit and seeing kids who didn't have the same advantages as me having to figure things out, even having my own friends who were in the inner city or just went to regular public schools and having to figure it out. And I just felt like I had a wealth of knowledge, and I'm not going to college again, so there's no use in like keeping this in my brain. I might as well get it out and try and get other students the knowledge and the help to get out there and get to college. I don't remember the second part of your question because I
think you pretty much covered it.
Maybe I covered it all. So yeah, that's my spiel. That's my story.
Thank you.